Hello, everybody. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching Dawson's Creek, Season 1, Episode 10, Double Date.
Sorry, I'm having to stretch my arms out since I spent that entire episode just turned inside out.
Okay.
Also, FYI, it's a little darker in here because our China ball blew out.
It blew out.
So if you want to help us keep the lights on,
literally,
you can do so here.
You can watch along with us at the $3 tier on Patreon.
I'm having a horrible time.
Horrible time.
And I'm letting you know. So
okay, I'm having a less good time watching it this time because Will has a higher threshold for the bullshit of men than you do. And so there's just like a really angry cloud.
I'm so sorry.
Am I right?
Okay. And I just have a hard time shutting it off.
No, I know.
I was raised around all men. And so I know they are capable of not saying shit like this all the time. Yeah. And so, but I'm so tired of writers and storytellers perpetuating that this is all there is.
Sure.
And it makes me want to unalive myself.
Okay. Remember,
I can't do it.
Remember that we are time traveling back 25 years.
No, I know. And I was angry about it then. Okay. Because I was like, when Pacey says the thing about a man's greatest fantasy is a threesome. Yeah. Boys said that to me in middle school or high school, and they regurgitate it because this is where they hear it. Sure. And I immediately would hit them back with, "You are so boring. What a pedestrian comment. I can't stand you."
It's just like when we were doing we're doing Dawson's Creek, when Will and I were doing Desperate Housewives, and spoiler alert for season 1 of Desperate Housewives, it comes out that Rex is paying a sex worker to do like really light S&M with him to like very gently dom him. And I was like, this is the most boring reason to step out on your wife. You're telling me that Brie Vandekamp doesn't want to buy an outfit and step on your neck?
I don't have anything attached to that show, or like have a full understanding. But I understand who Brie Vandekamp is, and it was like, give her a reason to hold a crop.
Also, turns out she's super against it and thinks it's gross. But I think that was a failing of the writing.
I agree.
Not the character. So it's like, but I'm totally with you where it's like, okay, I'm totally with you that this is where boys see stuff like, although boys were not really watching Dawson's Creek, but like this type of thing where it's like threesomes, the coolest thing you can do, is like not great. Because also I've never really understood two girls and one guy threesome. He's only got one dick. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So, so that's that on that for me. But the other thing too is that like, for me, because I watched this when it was on, and also because I have the context of the Pacey that is yet to come, he's just, and I hate this phrase, but I will say it in this instance because I truly believe it is applying in the actual sense it's meant to. Boys will be boys. Well, in this instance specific, he's just like, I thought the snails might like to f*** each other.
And that, sure. And I think that him making that comment is absolutely putting on airs because his whole like swagger thing is because he has low self-esteem because everyone bullies him and makes him feel small. Yep. So like, I understand, but I'm also so angry because it's the snake eating itself. And I hate it.
He breaks out of it.
No, I know, but I'm just like, then I'm just mad at society as a whole because we just keep feeding it to each other, and I hate it so much.
No, it's bad. It's not great. Okay, so I don't even know where I want to like. Okay, because I think the Pacey and Joey stuff is actually kind of nice. So it
was nice. I was actually. That was the least of my issues.
That's why I want to end with that. We'll get the Dawson and Jen and Mary Beth and Cliff stuff out of the way. So at one point at the beginning of the episode, Pacey is like, you're going to have to talk to Jen about like whatever. Like
Joey.
Well, he talks about, you're right. But at the beginning of the episode is with Joey, but he does talk to Pacey also.
Okay.
Either way, he is that is how it starts. He is complaining to Joey that since they broke up, Jen has made no efforts to hang out. What?
I just, your exes for a reason.
As we mentioned in the last episode, neither of us have any desire to hang out with any of our exes. No. Except for like maybe one if he reached out. And even that is such a long shot that never.
I have never understood being friends with exes just because it's like your exes for a reason. So why add that extra layer of uncomfy in social interactions?
Yeah.
It's just, it's stupid.
It's not for me. In fact, I have been through like whole friend groups that just don't exist anymore because I broke up with the person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we don't need to hang out. We don't need to be involved in each other's lives.
Because there's a reason why you didn't work as a romantic pairing. And whether or not best intentions, you know, someone's going to say something sideways and then immediately it's weird.
Yeah, 100%.
And so it's just like, just cut your losses. It's fine.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, it's just the level of total, like, delulu from him that he's like, why isn't she trying to hang out with me? And it's like, why would she? So it's also been 2 weeks. And so basically Joey and Pacey kind of do say similar things to him where it's like, Jen is going to ask, one of you has to ask, do you want to be friends? Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to happen. And so Jen does ask him at school, like, can they be friends? And he does that overly earnest thing, just like,
yeah, of course we can be friends.
It's fine.
It's great.
It's fine.
I'd love to be friends.
And so he like, but like he's obviously lying through his teeth,
literally,
and also it's just like too sincere.
Yes,
and like I can never really vocalize or verbalize what I'm trying to say when I talk about Dawson. There is something just, it's like soggy. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
He's just, ugh.
He looks like a poisonous flower that's trying too hard to not look poisonous.
Okay.
So it's like, it looks too pretty. Something's got to be wrong with it.
Sure.
And it just, it gives off dangerous vibes. Like,
so,
I don't.
No, okay, so he's like antifreeze to a dog. Where it's like, it smells like maple syrup, but it's poison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate him. I just, because he also, I don't know if it's like James Vanderbeek just like locked this in season 1 and then like doesn't, but he is, there's like more, there's like some growth in his like acting and the way he presents Dawson, but it's like just this like really sincere, emotional, I don't know, it's just, it's too, it's saccharine.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had a really hard time explaining why I just don't vibe with Dawson, like, ever.
No, he is trying too hard.
Yeah. And
doesn't take any kind of note.
Okay, he does this thing where it's like, I think he is trying to be a people pleaser, but it's like he is promising things he has no intention or desire to follow through on.
He's a sociopath.
Yeah.
He is picking up on things around him without feeling any emotional attachment to them.
So like, for instance, when Jen is like, do you want to be friends? He knows that the thing he is supposed to say is yes, I do want to be friends. But it's so counter to how he actually feels inside that he has to deliver it in this over-the-top, sincere, saccharine way.
Yeah.
And it just makes him come off like a sack.
It reads false.
Yeah. It's awful.
Yeah, and
I think that's the closest I've ever gotten to, like, explaining it properly.
No, it is very that. It's because it's weird. Like anyone that I have ever met that comes off too earnest, too sincere, it's like something's not right.
So it's kind of like, okay, I know a lot of this was my internalized misogyny at the time. However, I've caught a couple of clips of the Actors on Actors with Anne Hathaway and Emily Blunt, and Anne Hathaway still pings that for me. I'm like, I recognize your talent. I think you're great. I'll watch whatever movie you come out in. something's up with the way that you present yourself. And that's how Dawson feels.
Okay.
Like, it's just very try hard. Yeah.
Well, it's a, well.
Yeah. Okay. So, also.
It's like, it's the opposite of the shtick that Jennifer Lawrence used to pull.
Sure.
And still kind of does.
It's the same. It's like two ends of the spectrum. Where it's like Anne Hathaway is very sincere and Jennifer Lawrence is very too cool for school.
Because Anne Hathaway wants you to go, oh, and Jennifer Lawrence wants you to go, high five. Like, and it's the same. It's the same.
It's two ends of the same spectrum, for sure.
And so, because it's just like, what are you hiding though? Because this isn't really you.
Because in that sense, it's kind of like Fleabag, where it's like you're waving how much you talk about sex in public over here, so that we don't look at all of your
indiscretions,
mess over here.
Yeah.
So love all of these women. Think they're super talented. I'm not shitting. I think it's great, but it's like there's always something that's kind of pinged for me where I'm like, I don't. And it's this. Dawson is obviously the worst offender.
Yeah.
Out of anybody.
Yeah. Well, and then that's a bummer because if it's kind of what a failing on James Van Der Beek's part, because it's like, why wouldn't you want to delve into that character further?
Sure.
Or if you want to, he's like staring at me and I don't like it.
I mean, they're all looking at us.
No, he's like specifically looking at me. Do we still need the TV on?
No, we don't need the TV. I can turn it off. Do you know who he looks like is the husband of that TikTok couple that I sent you?
Oh, kind of.
But that husband is cuter.
Yeah. But if James Van Der Beek decided that Dawson was the actual villain, like, what an interesting way to do it. But like, then we needed to have a bigger conversation with the creators and the writers because things need to be adjusted.
Sure, yes. So what I'll say is Dawson is never the villain of the, I mean,
I use the term loosely.
Yeah.
But like, if he wanted to play Dawson as like the sociopath.
Sure.
The special kid, so he had like the kid who was told he was special, so therefore he never learned empathy.
Yeah.
And so that he is just like regurgitating things back at people and how, and exploring how that can have reverberations through all of your interpersonal relationships. Fascinating.
Yeah. No.
But we needed to do a whole shakeup for what the show is actually about.
Yeah. So, like I said, he never does do that. He doesn't ever he is like not the good guy sometimes, but it's like what I said early in our rewatch, which is come season 2, like mid to late season 2, the show starts understanding that he's not the lead anymore. Like, it's called Dawson's Creek, but it's an ensemble.
Okay.
Sort of like when we watched Felicity, where it's like, yeah, it's called Felicity, and it is like demonstrably about her, but like Ben starts getting things that happen to him when Felicity's not around.
Right.
Like that kind of thing. He has that conversation with Jen, and she says, well, Cliff is taking me out on Saturday. Like, I have a date. And he's like, oh my God, so do I. And we're also going to the carnival. And he's like, what a coincidence. No, it's not a coincidence. But then, because he's lied completely through his teeth, Pacey has to suggest that he go out with Mary Beth. Because she came up to talk to him in marine biology. So he does ask Mary Beth, and they do go. She immediately is like, why are you going on a double date with your ex-girlfriend? This is super fucked up.
Because he doesn't tell her when he asks her out that it's going to be a double date.
Yeah. And so he lies and is like, Jen wanted a buffer on her date with Cliff. Cliff, the guy she's been like not dating, but like hanging out with almost the whole season. Like, we met Scott Foley at least 5 episodes ago. Yeah. And so, yeah, he totally lies about that. And then he and Cliff get into a pissing contest at the milk bottle toss thing. And then it's, you know what it's like? Have you ever seen, what's that Emma Watson movie and Logan Lerman, The Perks of Being a Wallflower? Oh, yeah. When he's like, kiss the prettiest girl in the room or whatever, and he doesn't kiss his girlfriend. So he like wins this like stuffed animal, and he's like, he tries to give it to Jen, who, by the way, by the end of the episode is just constantly carrying around 2. Like, Cliff can't carry one of those. Right. Ridiculous.
because we have to saddle Jen with everything.
Jen. Poor Jen. I tell you. Poor Jen, poor Mary Beth. So after that, Dawson does come clean to Mary Beth, and he's like, hey, I lied earlier. Obviously, I'm here to get her back. And she's like, well, I had ulterior motives too. I like Cliff. And so she does wing woman the crap out of Dawson. She's just like, hey, Cliff, let's ride the Ferris wheel together. And just like bodily puts him in the cart.
Mary Beth gives me bi girl vibes.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean that in a complimentary way.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I just want to hang out with her.
Mary
if
Beth.
If she broke the fourth wall, I'd be like, girl.
Yeah. Mary Beth goes both ways, I think. She obviously, nothing really, she's never in it again. Nothing.
Oh, of course.
Nothing really comes of this thing with her and Cliff. But Dawson gets read for filth by Jen on the Ferris wheel. And she's like, I don't actually want to be friends with you because I don't think you're taking this seriously. And you're super, like, this is so inappropriate. I can't believe, like, all of this stuff. He also talks a lot of shit back to her. You had a really strong reaction at one point. What did she say? He said something to her.
Well, he was like, tell me. Well,
prove it to me.
You said that you were done with men because you had too many men in your life and that you needed a break and that you wanted to stay home on Saturday nights, and yet here you are. And then prove to me that you were just saying that to get away from me. Or no, it was like the reverse of that. She needed to prove that she still liked him. Oh, basically. Yeah. I think.
Just, again, the Delulu. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I disassociated, I think, at one point.
It's a lot.
Because I'm desperate for her to just start screaming,
yeah,
leave me alone, all of you.
Yeah.
I don't have to prove anything to any of you.
Yeah.
I'm tired of you, Dawson, because she obviously has to be. And just because he is exhausting her. So just like, instead of doing her thing that she does, just be like, shut the fuck up, you noob. I hate you. I hate you.
Well, she doesn't is the problem.
Yeah. I don't know how.
No, it's bad. I'll tell you what. She doesn't ever just scream. However, a lot of her behavior in season 2 is
her acting out.
It's acting out. It's a lot of acting out.
I'm probably, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but also I wouldn't fault her at this point.
No.
At this point, go full nuts.
So that's the thing where it's like, it's uncomfy to watch because you're like, somehow she starts falling into the stuff she was doing in New York, but in Cape Side. So it's kind of like, Jen, come on. But then you're like, no, she deserves it.
Yeah, because it's like she is a goldfish that is in a bag just being shaked to shit.
Yeah.
Because they just love her so much. And it's just like it's like the Taylor Swift song, Mad Woman.
Yeah.
What a shame she went mad, but you made her like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I totally get it, girly. Yeah. Like, go nuts.
So that happens. There's a lot of that happens in season 2. And honestly, it's like, again, I think it's relatively warranted.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. So,
because all these dudes keep trying to do is fuck her. No one wants to have a conversation with her. And like, the only other guy in her orbit is Pacey. When's the last time they had a conversation?
They get material later.
Okay, but just like for right now, like, why are they not talking?
Well, I mean, I take your point. By the time that they do, they have like a lot in common. Like I
would hope so. Yeah. Like, I want to see that. Yeah. But as of right now, any and all interaction she has with any boys on this show, they're all trying to f her.
Well, okay, I don't necessarily think Cliff is quite that bad of an offender.
No,
he's trying to date her.
Right. But that's what I'm saying, though. Every single interaction she has with a boy on the show is in some way romantic, and she's just trying to live her life.
Okay, yes, that doesn't stop. Because I mentioned that also about Joey. Mm-hmm. There is no man, with the exception of Bodhi and her dad and Mitch, that doesn't try to fuck her. And those those are the same exceptions for Jen. Bodhi and her dad and Mitch. And it's like everyone else either tries to or does her.
I hate it.
It's, part of that is just the crime of it being a WB show from the 90s and the 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Because, with Buffy and Oz, they talk, they interact.
Sometimes.
They don't,
not enough.
But not enough. Yeah. But they do interact, and there was never an attempt done. Yeah. Oh my God, my stomach hurts so bad. I'm so angry. For that person who comments that they don't like it when I yell, just put earplugs in because I'm going to be screaming.
You're going to be okay. Ugh. So that all happens.
Yeah.
On the other side of this episode, which I think is actually quite sweet, and kind of like the beginning of the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing actually comes of it till season 3, but it's the beginning of it. Especially of them just getting along and being friends. So Pacey and Joey, because Pacey is failing marine biology, he and Joey are assigned together to do an extra credit project, trying to see how the environment that this sea slug is given affects how it reproduces. And that was when the aforementioned Pacey tries to get a slug menage a trois going. And he puts a carnivorous slug in with the other two, and so it eats the other two slugs, obviously. So they have to basically spend the whole day together in the marsh, going to find a new slug so that they can finish their extra credit project. Pacey is just very a boy about the whole day. He forgets to, tie up their boat and say they have to wade through the cold water and all of this stuff, and it's a lot. And then they're all wet, so by the time they get back to the truck, they have to get undressed and wrap up in blankets, and he sees her in the rearview mirror with her back exposed.
And there was an awful, awful song.
Such a bad song. I forgot all about that.
I want to be your underwear. Yeah. I want to be the razor when you shave.
It's a lot.
I want to be the sheets that you sleep in. Gross.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially for, 15. They're 15. It's a very sexual song for 15-year-olds.
Oh my God.
So yeah, but it's that is
if I had watched this live, I think I would have been a completely different person.
Yeah. Hi.
I don't know. My life at that point was a lot different than yours as far as what I was dealing with in my environment.
Your home life. Yeah,
yes,
that's true. The light voyeurism aside, I actually think it's all pretty tame and sort of cute. He just is ooh, a girl back.
I didn't have a problem with. It was the creepy song playing.
The creepy song was truly terrible.
Yeah.
But they actually that's the thing about also why I like the dudes in shows that I like is because they are always the ones that have electric chemistry with the girl next door.
Mm-hmm.
And that is always the character that is Bella. That's Pants. Joey is kind of Pants.
She
if you are
Pants.
A pretty brown-haired girl that went through high school being kind of dorky and not popular, you put on Joey and then all of a sudden Pacey likes you.
Yep.
Joshua Jackson wants to look into your eyes.
He never noticed how beautiful your eyes were before.
Right? I mean, unreal. So, also I mentioned in our watch along that I think they already were dating in real life at this point. But I think their chemistry is fantastic.
Yeah.
Even when they're sniping, it's a very His Girl Friday kind of, a zany 40s rom-com. I love it. So yeah, they're still snapping and stuff but it gets a little bit flirty towards the end. And so he gets them back to her house and they change. He borrows some clothes of Bodhi's and they decide to go to the carnival. But not before he's don't be embarrassed to tell me how bad you failed this biology test. I got a 32. Tell me what you got. Well, she got a 98 because she's a smarty pants and she is doing this extra credit so that she can get a scholarship to college because she can't, she'll die if she stays in Cape Side. And he's very nice. He just is well, I wouldn't bet against you. You'll get out for sure. super sweet. And just like, this is for me when like real Pacey starts.
Yeah.
Especially towards the scene at the end. So he and Joey end up going to the carnival together. Kind of nice. Not on like a date, but it's, you know, they're just, let's go to the carnival. So they run into Dawson, who has been dumped by everybody and is sitting, feeling sorry for himself on a bench.
But he has a weird smirk on his face.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the sociopath in it. Because I would expect like this, right? But
really sad.
But he's literally going.
Yeah, it's a weird. I noticed that too, and I was like, why are you smiling?
Weird, because he's a sociopath.
He's creepy. He's so creepy. Pacey asks to talk to Dawson in private, and Joey's just like, okay, like, whatever. So they go around the other side of the carousel, and he's like, I had a really good time with Joey today, shockingly. And I need to ask your permission if I can kiss her. And first of all,
gross.
Second of all, though, I mean, it's probably best he did. Who knows what would have happened if he just kissed her? Yeah. Like, just of his own volition. So Dawson is like, of course, why would that be weird? And Pacey is like, hello, you have this whole thing. Are you new here? And he's like, no, I don't care. You're my friend and she's my friend. Just go kiss or whatever. And then Pacey turns around and is like, great. And he's like, just kidding. I don't want you to actually do that. And Pacey's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, no, actually, sorry. It's totally cool. Unacceptable behavior. And so Pacey takes Joey home. And then you even admitted that it was pretty smooth.
He was smooth.
Pretty smooth.
Yeah.
He kisses her and she immediately is like, Pacey, what the fuck? And pushes him away. But she's kind of laughing. Mm-hmm. She's like, what is going on? And he's like, well, I had a really good time today. And I was like surprised that I had a good time. And also like, I'm attracted to you. And he's like, what about you? And she's like, well, I was also surprised that I had a good time today, but not attracted to you. Mm-hmm. And he takes it like a champ. Yep. Such a champ.
It's just like, oh, okay, no problem.
To my memory, he never gives her a hard time about this either.
Good.
I straight up don't remember if he does. So if he does, I apologize, but I don't think so. I don't think he gives her a hard time. And she just is like, I had a really good time too, though. And they both basically are like, as long as this awkward moment ends sometime soon, we can just like, let's be friends now. Mm-hmm. Like, let's not be sniping assholes anymore. And they do still bicker and like banter. But again, it's the 40s. Because they're smart. It's the His Girl Friday. Mm-hmm. It's just so good. So I love that part of it. Yeah. It's so cute. And again, their chemistry is.
She did talk way too much, but I think it's just the writing.
Yeah.
But like when he was basically flirting with her in the car and she was like, what am I? And then it was just like 5 pages worth of descriptors about how like much of a troll she was. And I just wanted him to look at her and be like, shut up.
You're so pretty.
Like, stop talking. Because she just was extremely long-winded.
Yeah. Because she was like, what are you smirking at how like stupid I look in this blanket? And I was like, you look like you're a girl who's naked from the waist up. Yeah. I think he's probably cool with whatever. Mm-hmm. The only other thing in this episode is that Bob calls the Leary house.
Well, we didn't even touch on Dawson running to the video store.
That's right. So then Pacey's working at the video store and Dawson comes up to him and he's like, hey, that thing you asked me before, I changed my mind. Again. And Dawson is like, or Pacey's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he's like, I don't want you to kiss Joey. And he's like, ooh, too late. And we're going to a B&B this weekend. And it's love at first sight. And that's all we're going to do. And Dawson is like, oh, you're messing with me. And he's like, yeah, but here's some truth telling. You need to figure out who you actually have feelings for. Yep. Because at this point, he's just like hoarding women. Yeah. That are like, you can't touch them, but I can.
And Pacey said to, or asked.
Kitty's trying to get in here.
Kitty. What are you doing? What? He said to Joey, if you had kissed me back, would you be thinking of somebody else?
And Joey was just
kind of like,
yeah.
I mean,
her body language said absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so Pacey is like, basically, like, you just absolutely like Joey. Like, why are you still doing this? This is ridiculous. Why are you still pretending that you're just friends? It's because he's a scaredy cat. Because he's just like, he can't fathom. I see your little feet.
I can't see.
Yeah. Little
buddy. Oh my goodness.
And then the only thing left is that Mitch and Gail are still kind of going through it. And Bob calls the house and Mitch answers the phone.
At breakfast!
It's early.
It's so weird.
It's early.
Also, why are you still calling?
Well, I mean, I believe Gail that it was like totally work related.
No, at this point,
in this instance, but no,
once that is over, you don't.
No, totally
you forget my phone number.
I totally agree with that. They are still co-anchors. That's like a whole. But regardless, I totally agree. He should not be calling the Leary house anymore.
Am I on the clock? No, I'm not. So you cannot talk to me about work until I am at the TV station.
Wait until we're at work for this, because Mitch is like, was that Calvin or whatever? And she's like, no. And he's like, well, I recognize the voice. And then that's when he's like, oh, it was Bob. How the fuck dare he call this house and all this, blah, blah, blah. And so then at the end of the episode, they're dancing, which is sweet. They're like, they're working back to it. And the phone is ringing. And Dawson is like going to leave. And Mitch is just like, let it ring while they keep dancing, which like, fine. But also it's 1998 and we don't have texting. So you need to,
I mean, there's voicemail.
Maybe it's important. And also I forgot, which is kind of gross. Like midway through the episode, Mitch asks Dawson if anybody called, which is like, I didn't ask if anybody called for me. I asked if anybody called that I need to know about.
Mm-hmm.
And Dawson is like, I don't like that they're putting him in the middle of it. But Dawson is like, no, he didn't call. Like, he knows what's up to. So that's basically it.
Yeah. I'm exhausted.
Not as bad as the one before, though, right?
No, it's not. It's just...
Is it because it had that really good 1940s? Pacey and Joey running through it?
I think because we're starting to turn a corner with Pacey.
Yeah.
That really helped. But, yeah, no, it was...
I can't wait for us to get to season 2 with Andy and Jack, because I think being able to watch Pacey be a good boyfriend is going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to help.
And just more people, because then we can spend less time with Dawson.
Correct.
That's what I want that.
Yeah.
I want that now. I want it.
Okay, well, that is definitely it for us tonight, because if I make Rachel watch one more episode, I think she's gonna have an aneurysm on camera. So
I can't fold it anymore, because then at that point I think I literally have to like watch the episode from down here.
Totally scrunched over. All right, so that's it for us. Like and subscribe. Let us know what you think about this episode, and we will be back with episode 11 next week.
Bye.
Bye.